All right, so we're diving into Kendrick's surprise album, GNX. It's like a time capsule, bringing that 90s West Coast hip-hop sound straight to 2024.
Yeah, you really get that classic West Coast vibe. It's a bit unexpected, though, right? I mean, with everything else going on.
Yeah, it is a little unexpected. I mean, he's coming off a huge win, that whole thing with Drake, the pop-out event, the hype around the upcoming Super Bowl performance. You'd think he'd be riding that wave,
Yeah,
right?
you'd think so, wouldn't you?
But Kendrick always does his own thing.
He's not one to follow the crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even the release of GNX was low-key, just a little snippet online, and then boom, the album drops.
No big rollout or anything.
Nope, just straight to the music.
Which is kind of refreshing, in a way.
Yeah, definitely. It's like he's saying, this is about the art, not the hype.
Right.
And the sound of GNX, it just pulls you in. It's like you're right there in 90s LA.
It's so immersive.
It's crazy how he captures that era without making it feel dated.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like a throwback at all. It's fresh. Like he's reinterpreting that classic sound for today.
And the production is amazing. Guys like Soundwave, they always bring that raw energy.
And then you've got those newer producers blending in, adding their own flavor.
It's a really cool mix, like old school meets new school.
And speaking of that mix, you can't forget Mustard on this project. That Mustard drop on TV Off, it's just
Oh man, it's iconic.
instantly recognizable. And that track, TV Off, it just makes you want to cruise down Sunset Boulevard with the windows down.
It's that West Coast energy for sure.
That feeling. And, you know, when you're talking about classic West Coast, you have to talk about Tupac's influence on this album. Tracks like Whacked Out Murals, it has that same lyrical intensity, that confrontational energy you hear in Tupac's All Out or Against All Odds.
Like Kendrick is channeling that spirit, that rawness. And then there's Reincarnated, which samples Tupac's Made People.
Such a classic. And they didn't just sample it, they elevated it.
Yeah, it's not just a loop. It's like they built a whole new song around it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's subtle, too. Like, they didn't try to remix it or make it something it's not. They just kind of enhanced it, you know?
Yeah, it's like a tribute, paying respect to the original while doing something new.
Definitely. And speaking of paying respect, the album title, GNX itself, is a pretty deep reference.
Not everyone's going to get that one.
Definitely not.
Mhm.
But for car people, especially those who know Kendrick's story, it's significant. The Buick Grand National Experimental.
A rare car from his birth year, 1987.
Yeah, pretty cool. He actually posted pictures of his own GNX on Instagram earlier this year.
I saw those. It's a beautiful car. But I think there's more to it than just a car.
Absolutely. It's about originality, authenticity, legacy, all themes that tie into the album itself.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, this is my story, this is where I come from, and this is where I'm going.
Exactly. It's a statement. Now, there's also this underlying tension throughout GNX, not explicitly, but it's there. And it all circles back to Drake.
Yeah, Drake's name isn't mentioned directly, but there are definitely some lines that make you raise an eyebrow, like on Whacked Out Murals, when he talks about needing reconciliation and making things right.
It makes you wonder.
And in Hey Now, there's that line about strangling a goat.
Some people are saying that's a shot at Drake's whole goat thing.
It wouldn't be surprising, but then again, Not Like Us isn't on this album.
Which is interesting because a lot of people saw that as a direct diss track aimed at Drake.
Yeah, it's curious.
Maybe he's saving that energy for later. You know, maybe the Super Bowl.
Maybe he's trying to send a message that he's beyond the drama and this album's about something bigger.
It could be. And you know, it's really interesting how he chooses to address things through his music, not through social media or interviews.
It's old school.
Yeah.
Let the art speak for itself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's especially interesting with the whole Super Bowl situation. You know, Lil Wayne was pretty vocal about not being chosen for the halftime show.
Yeah, especially with it being in New Orleans.
Right, his hometown.
There's a line in Whacked Out Murals where Kendrick talks about maybe letting Lil Wayne down. It's like a glimpse into how he's navigating these complex relationships.
But he does it all through music, through these subtle references and metaphors.
It's really powerful. Now, let's talk about the collaborations on GNX. He's got some big names and some newer artists as well.
It's a great mix, and I think it speaks to his desire to bring people together to showcase the next generation of LA talent.
He's giving them a platform, a chance to shine alongside one of the biggest names in hip-hop. And then you have the choice of Jack Antonoff as co-producer on most of the tracks.
Yeah, that surprised me. He's known for his work in pop, but on this album, he really nails that West Coast sound.
Shows how versatile he is as a producer.
And of course, we can't talk about the production without mentioning Mustard again, especially on TV Off.
That track is just fire.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that just makes you want to move. But then there's this element on the album that I wasn't expecting at all. The Latin singer intros.
Yeah, those mariachi intros caught me off guard too, in a good way.
They're so beautiful, and they add this whole other layer of meaning to the album.
It's more than just a sonic choice, right?
Right, it's a statement. He's acknowledging the Latinx influence on LA culture. It's a huge part of the city's history and identity.
And mariachi music itself is all about storytelling. Love, struggle, celebration, community. Those themes tie right into Kendrick's work.
It's like he's weaving together these different cultural threads, creating this rich tapestry that reflects the real LA.
Yeah, it's a reminder that LA is more than just Hollywood and beaches. It's a melting pot of cultures and influences, and Kendrick's capturing that beautifully on GNX.
Exactly. He's celebrating the city's diversity and its complexity, and the way he brings those Latin influences into the music, it's bold and unexpected. It's like he's always pushing boundaries, trying new things, and you know what? It totally works. It just adds to the richness of the album. It's a sonic adventure, and we're just getting started. And it really makes you think about the layers of LA, you know?
Yeah.
The history, the culture, the music, it's all there in GNX. And Heart Part 6, man, that track hit me hard.
That's classic Kendrick, right? Raw and honest, those hard tracks always get deep.
They do. It's like he's letting us into his head, sharing his journey.
He really opens up in Heart Part 6, talks about TDE, his label, and the whole Black Hippie thing.
Oh, yeah, the Black Hippie project that never happened. A lot of fans were disappointed about that.
He explains why, though. Says their creative visions just weren't aligned anymore.
I respect that. Forcing a project just for the sake of it, it wouldn't have been genuine.
Exactly. It's about staying true to the art.
And his honesty, you know? He's not afraid to say, this is why it didn't work out.
It makes you trust him even more as an artist. He's not hiding anything. He's being real. And speaking of real, Man at the Garden gave me major Nas vibe.
Oh, totally. That build-up, that intensity, it reminded me of One Mic.
It's like Kendrick's paying homage to one of his heroes. And it's not just that one track. Remember the line in Whacked Out Murals where he mentions Nas being the only one to congratulate him on the Super Bowl gig?
Yeah, and then Nas posted about GNX on Instagram.
It's cool to see that mutual respect between two legends from different coasts. It shows that hip-hop is more than just a competition. It's a community, a lineage.
Exactly. There's a history there, a shared passion. And speaking of passion, can we talk about these instrumentals?
Oh, man, the production on this album is next level. It's like every beat is a masterpiece.
Soundwave, Jack Antonoff, Mustard, they all brought their A-game. There's not a single skip on this album.
I'm still replaying TV off just for that beat switch. It's insane.
And that Mustard drop, it gets me every time.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
And it fits perfectly with Kendrick's flow.
It's like they were made for each other. And, you know, when you think about all the elements we've talked about, the samples, the features, the production, it's safe to say that this is Kendrick's most LA album yet.
It is. It's like he's painting a sonic portrait of his city. From the shout-outs to the overall vibe, it's all LA.
Yeah, the references to local schools and neighborhoods, that Dodgers shout out in Dodger Blue.
It's like a love letter to his hometown. And the way he features all those up-and-coming LA artists.
It's like he's passing the torch, you know?
Yeah, it's like he's saying, this is the future of West Coast hip-hop.
It's a powerful statement. And it all ties back to that idea of community, which he really emphasized with the Pop-Out event.
Bringing everyone together, celebrating LA's diversity.
GNX feels like an extension of that.
Yeah.
It's a celebration of everything that makes LA unique, from the music to the culture to the people.
He's not shying away from the complexities of the city either. He's addressing the good and the bad, the struggles and the triumphs.
It's real, it's honest, and it's powerful. So now that we've really dug into the themes, the sound, the collaborations, what's your overall impression of GNX? How does it stack up against his other work?
I think it's a masterpiece. It's Kendrick at his most mature, his most reflective, and his most connected to his roots. He's pushing boundaries sonically and lyrically, and he's doing it with a purpose.
The critics seem to agree. The reviews have been overwhelmingly positive.
They have. People are praising his return to that classic West Coast sound while acknowledging his growth as an artist.
And fans are loving it too. The online discussions are intense. People are dissecting the lyrics, debating interpretations, sharing their personal connections to the music.
It's become this cultural moment, you know, and it's sparked these really interesting conversations about the resurgence of 90s hip-hop.
It's like Kendrick's not just making music, he's starting a movement.
Exactly. He's influencing a whole generation of artists, and he's doing it on his own terms. Now, remember that teaser video with the two GNX cars?
The one with the music that's not even on the album. Yeah, what's up with that? It's got everyone speculating. Could it be a hint at a second project? A deluxe edition, maybe.
With the Super Bowl coming up in 2025, the timing would be perfect for a big reveal.
It would be. And you know Kendrick loves to keep us guessing. Whatever he has planned, it's gonna be epic.
He always delivers. And I think GNX is proof of that.
It's a game changer. It's an album that demands your attention, an album that makes you think, an album that stays with you long after the last track fades out.
It's more than just music. It's an experience.
And it's not just about him, right? It's like he's saying, look, if I can do this, coming from where I came from, you can too.
Yeah, there's definitely a message of empowerment there. Like he's using his story to inspire others.
Especially those from similar backgrounds. And even if you're not from LA, you can still relate to that journey of self-discovery, that struggle to find your voice and your place in the world.
That's what makes Kendrick's music so universal. He's tapping into these human experiences that we all share, no matter where we come from.
Exactly. He's finding those common threads that connect us all. And GNX, I think, it's a great entry point for anyone who's curious about Kendi but hasn't really dived into his music before.
Yeah, if you're new to his work, this album's a perfect place to start. It's got everything that makes Kendrick great. The lyrics, the storytelling, the sonic experimentation.
And those classic West Coast vibes. It's a really well-rounded album. You can listen to it on a surface level and just enjoy the music, or you can really dig deep and unpack all the layers of meaning.
There's a lot to unpack, that's for sure. And people are doing it. I've been seeing all these discussions online, fans breaking down the lyrics, debating interpretations.
It's sparked this whole conversation about what it means to be from LA, about the legacy of West Coast hip-hop, about the power of music to reflect and shape culture.
It's more than just entertainment.
Right. It's thought-provoking. It's challenging. It's making people think critically about themselves and the world around them. And that's what great art does, right?
Absolutely. It starts conversations. It pushes boundaries. It makes us question things.
It inspires us. And GNX does all of that. It's a reminder that hip-hop can be more than just beats and rhymes. It can be a tool for social commentary, for personal reflection, for cultural exploration.
It could be a force for change.
Exactly. And I think that's what Kendrick's trying to do with this album. He's not just making music, he's making a statement. He's using his platform to elevate voices, to challenge perspectives, to spark dialogue.
And he's doing it in a way that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
He's found that sweet spot, that balance between artistry and activism, and it's resonating with people. You can see it in the reviews, in the online discussions, in the way people are connecting with this album.
It's definitely struck a chord, and I think it'll continue to be talked about and debated for years to come.
I agree. It's one of those albums that stays with you. It makes you think, it makes you feel, it makes you want to go back and listen again and again.
It's a classic, and it's only going to grow in stature over time.
Well said. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into GNX, I want to leave you with this. Don't just listen to this album, experience it. Immerse yourself in the sounds, the lyrics, the stories. Let it take you on a journey through the streets of LA, through the history of hip-hop, and through Kendrick's own personal evolution.
And let it inspire you to find your own voice, your own path, your own way of making a difference in the world.
Because that's what GNX is all about. Empowerment, authenticity, and using your voice to create something meaningful.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Kendrick Lamar's GNX. We'll catch you next time.